Live from Studio 3B, it's the Pinky and the Brain Show.
The Pinky and the Brain, yeah, Pinky and the Brain. They started up a podcast so Jeremy can complain. They talk about their life, news, sports, and Twitter fights. Brandon's kinky, they're Pinky and the Brain, 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 brain.
Hi and hello, podcasters. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Pinky and the Brain Show. This is Jeremy Brownlee speaking, a.k.a. The Brain. And directly to my right, you will hear is Brandon Breckenridge, a.k.a. Pinky. Say hello, Brandon.
Hello, audience.
All right, now across the table from us is the man at the mixing board, producer Travis. All right, what do we have planned for tonight? Good question. First, let me thank you for joining us on the maiden voyage of the Pinky and Brain Show. That's right, our very first show. Be prepared for suck as we try to figure this shit out. But, okay, so I thought we would start out with a brief introduction of who the hell we are, how we met, what we hope to do with the podcast, goals. We'll mix in some crazy stories of the absolutely retarded shit we've done. But first, why do we call this Pinky and the Brain?
Good question. Good question.
All right. Well, this kind of started back in the high school days. The name was actually coined by a friend of ours, DeVal Woods, who was always liking to talk shit. So it was not a term of endearment.
Yes. Little shit talking motherfucker.
And what you have to understand is back when we were called this in our high school days, this was before Brandon had busted out of his adolescent cocoon into the stunning Adonis that you see sitting across from you right now.
Well, thank you.
I mean, Travis, help me out here. He was a little chunky. His hair, I always used to like to say, he had the style of a haircut where it almost looked like his hair was trying to grow away from his head. Like it didn't want any part of it.
Blonde frosted tips. I don't know if anybody has done a bigger transformation.
That is absolutely right.
Frosted tips, those are the shit back in the day.
Those were-
I mean, I was still about 5 years after that trend, but still. I've never been ahead of the curve.
Oh, man. And remind me, what kind of car? He drove like a mustard orange hoopty of some sort, or a brown. I don't remember exactly. What was that?
It was a Grand Prix, which is basically the equivalent of a Monte Carlo, but it's shittier.
So, the Monte Carlo's retarded half-brother? I mean,
Yes.
okay.
The inbred cousin.
All right, well, that was back then. I was in stature, much like the Brain, short, compact little fuck,
Wait.
with always, a little grumpy look to my face, and
I thought we were talking about when we were younger.
well, I guess that's true. I think my grumpiness is only multiplied as I enter the midlife crisis stage of my life. But yeah, the Brain. I was always scheming. Brandon, like
Always
Pinky,
scheming.
was always high, a little aloof.
A little. Just being
So that's
nice.
how the Pinky and the Brain moniker first started. We thought, fuck it. There's a billion podcasts out there. We're not going to come up with a name better than that, so we're sticking with it. So I have to apologize, but if you came here looking for some analysis of the cartoon show, you've come to the wrong place, because we're not going to really be getting into that. So that's about where the Pinky and the Brain stuff ends for today. So, all right, let's circle back. Who the hell are we, and how did we meet? Brandon,
Good
let
question.
me start with you. My first recollection of meeting you, we were in an art class in high school, and you always used to hang out with this short little, I don't even remember his name, much about him, but I remember
Keith. His
him
name was
being
Keith.
annoying as shit. That's all I remember about
He
him.
was. even looking back now, you ever hang out with somebody and you look back and you're like, why the fuck did I hang out with that person? I mean, it's kind of, I mean, and we've all done that. Like, you date somebody and you look back and you're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Why did I marry that person?
yeah. Why did I spend 17 years of my life with that person? That was a short mistake.
Why are they my parents? But like, I have a recollection of meeting you in that class, but I don't even really remember a moment in the class where we were actually doing anything. We both skipped school a healthy amount, so we probably weren't even in class at the same time very often.
Nope.
What was your recollection of when you first aware of me?
So I knew you then, and I knew you by reputation. You had a reputation back then, even then. And you like
Total
you had
sweetheart?
Yeah, total sweetheart, charmer, mama's boy. No, total like kind of just a reputation for kind of being a badass. So I think I kept my distance because I didn't really have that kind of reputation. I think I was into Pogs at that time.
Wait, you were into what?
Pogs.
I'm not sure what that is.
Those little circle things.
It was like the little circle things, and you slam them down. Like it's like Magic the Gathering, but even worse. Like
I didn't know there was a worse.
Yeah, Pogs. You literally just slam these things down. So like that's how cool I was at that time. So you were intimidating.
Okay, well, I didn't feel intimidating. I was just like a guy that liked to cut loose, and every once in a while, you know, the old saying is, I came here to do two things. What is it? Drink beer and kick some ass. Well, it turns out we hardly ever had any beer, so there was only one thing left to do. All right, so we had a lot of mutual friends. So I imagine somehow through, I don't know, Brad Swanson or somebody,
Brad Swanson,
how this probably came to be. We would hang out. That's where I would meet you, Chris, the like. All right, so that's kind of how that started. Now, Travis, producer Travis over there.
Producer Travis.
I believe the statute of limitations has passed on this, but so I think we're okay to talk about it.
Has it been 7 years?
The first thing I can remember about you was driving up with one Mr. Matthew Cunningham in a red Prelude to the Chalet Mafia Street over there. And we would just basically drop off drugs for you guys to sell. And that was basically my introduction to Travis until the next time I met him, you'll be shocked to learn, was in a juvenile hall detention center.
That is shocking.
When I shit you not, at any one given point in time, there had to have been 8 to 12 of us locked up at the same time in that place.
At the same time, yeah.
Making rotations through.
And then from there, I remember you got out. I don't remember how this came to be, but I ended up at your parents' house. You were freshly out of juvie. I don't even know if you had gotten technically met up with your probation officer yet. And we went to Oak Park Mall where you picked out things for me to steal for you. Is that about right?
We had heard of each other, and then we met technically and kind of became friends, I guess, in juvie. So we get out, or I get out. Maybe you had gotten out a little bit before that.
Mine was a quick
The
stay.
very first thing
Quick stay.
was, I don't know why we thought that was a good idea.
And Travis was on a long haul. You were on a short stay. Travis is fucking
was-
Green Mile over here.
All right, so somehow from that, now we're going on, that's nearly 20 years ago now.
That's insane.
I mean,
Well, I
we're
don't
talking
know
about
what-
the mid-90s.
I don't know what bonds two guys more than stealing shit at the mall.
Risking life in prison for stealing.
I mean, we were out of
Jinkos.
jail. Yeah.
Jinkos, that's right, because how the hell did I think it was a good idea to steal jeans that have a bigger radius coming out of the foot than a goddamn Chevy Expedition or Ford Expedition, whatever the hell. Yeah, so no shit, I got caught. Yeah, big shocker there.
But, you know, you had a good run before that.
That only made me better at my craft because after that is when I started being called the Grinch that stole everyone's Christmas.
Well, you took this very serious. You loved stealing. I guess maybe loved the thrill of it.
Well, you know, Picasso had his brush. Leonardo da Vinci invented stuff. I got my rocks off by stealing overpriced goods from the mall.
You had your crotch. You could shove stuff larger. And I remember we would go, and it was funny because you were basically like a half-price books. Pick it out, and you get it half price.
Nope.
But I got to shove it down my
You're
pants.
close. I prided myself in being the half price of the half price store.
That's half price of the half
Now
price.
that just triggered a memory. We're all at Joe Kelly's skipping school, and we thought it. Well, what better thing to do than barbecue and get drunk? I believe it was in that shitmobile that we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
Do you remember driving us up to Price Chopper so I could steal all the meat
Yes.
for our barbecue? And what happened?
I remember because you didn't tell me that you were going to steal meat. You said, pull up to the curb and wait. And I had a car full of people. You come running out with literally a shirt full of fucking meat. Completely obvious, like not even concealed, like a pregnant woman with alien babies that are like literally aching to escape.
I remember the manager chasing me out that particular time, yelling, "Don't fucking come back." Somebody opened your door. I hop in. We pull off, and the fucking door is just dragging along.
It drags like sparks. Like, okay, be inconspicuous. And we're like, with you fucking coming out with your fucking meat babies.
Oh, man, the good old days. So,
And
yes,
then we went over it. We grilled that meat. And you know what? We went back to that Price Chopper. Fuck them.
we did. We did indeed. All
It's
right.
it's
Now they're out of
Olathe.
business.
They don't.
Who got the last laugh there?
You know, we don't live in LA. We live in a smaller town. Sometimes people recognize you, but you just got to take a chance.
That's right. All right, so that's kind of a brief history. We'll get into much more of that in episodes to come. So let's talk about sort of what we hope to do with this podcast. Kind of what we want to be. So the idea here is using the podcast as a modality just to talk about life, hang out, have a good time, hopefully entertain you assholes from time to time. Nothing's off limits. We'll talk pop culture, politics, sports. If you name it, we'll talk about it. Sex. We will have segments coming up. Brandon with his sexcapades. We'll do a little what's that love doctor's name?
I don't know.
Dr. Ruth Ginsburg.
Yeah,
or
Dr.
something.
Ruth. I was thinking
so-
instead of a segment, it would be a sexment.
There you go, a sexment. And what we'd like you to do is send us a line at talk@pinkyandthebrainshow.com with your sex questions and just any other general ramblings.
Yes.
And we'll read those off.
Yes. And what better to have someone answer it than what like an 80-year-old sex therapist like.
That's right. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about the stupid shit we've done. You've heard a little bit of that so far. What else? What else are our goals? I think we would like to get to the point where we can take calls. We can have guests in for interviews. We'll bring in our friends to help tell some of these stories.
Yes.
We'll bring in our kids, our wives.
Local comedy scene.
Local
We would like to get
comedies.
the
We'd love to get
local
some
comedy
comics
scene.
in. Just have a little bit of fun in the form of a podcast. What say you, Brandon?
I agree. I think Kansas City is a very unique city in the fact that a lot of people don't know the culture here, and I think people maybe from other geographies will actually find some interest here. I think people think Kansas City is a flyover state, and I think it's a little more interesting than people give it credit for.
I think that's changing. I see we get put on a lot of these up-and-coming city lists where it's like Austin, Kansas City, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Like those seem to be the ones I see the most. And you're
It's
right. Downtown scene is way better than when we were growing. When we were growing up, it was just a shithole and like crime. Like there was nothing good downtown.
Downtown
nothing
was
good.
the place you went for cocaine, and that was about it.
Yep,
Pretty much.
Yep. And if you made it back to the suburbs, you were lucky
Good for you.
with your cocaine.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get into all that and more. So let's kind of tease a couple of the crazy stories we can talk about in upcoming episodes. We're gonna
I think
keep
that's a great idea.
this episode a little bit condensed. just get to know you guys a little bit, let you get to know us, like a little first date, if you will.
Little birthday, little charm.
All right, so let's get into just a quick hit. We're not going to get too much into these. Let's just kind of give a quick little synopsis, if I'm saying that right. I'm
Synopsis.
about 3 or 4 beers in at this point, so
Yeah, let's get some
pardon me.
synopsis. I need some synopsis.
All right, so we're going to get into stuff such as Brandon taking an Ambien and running around naked in a hotel on a work trip, no less.
On a work trip. And I had to work in that small town the
Now-
next morning for 8 hours.
Were you arrested this go-round?
I was not.
Okay.
However, there is more to that story.
All right, more to come. Stay tuned. All right, what else will we get into? How about the Mardi Gras trip we took back in 2001? I would say there was, 8 to 10 of us, roughly,
At
in
least-
2 hotel rooms?
Yep, there was at least 4 cars, I think. So at least 4
This
cars.
is a everyone's late teens, early 20s. Pack as many people in. We had about 3 carloads full of people. We went down, stayed down at the Sheridan, I believe.
on it was is that they call it Canal? I think on
We were
Canal.
on, I think Canal. That sounds right.
Yeah, I think it's Canal, the main drag. The main drag.
So we'll get into how I ended up on a balcony on Bourbon Street with 2 Playboy models. We'll get into a friend of ours, Joe, disappearing for the entirety of the night and absolutely refusing until he never would admit just what the hell he
Never.
got into that night.
Never.
So that's still a damn mystery.
Still
We're
forever.
gonna get into now I actually feel guilty about this one. As I said, there's about 12 of us or however many splitting 2 rooms with 2 probably queen size beds in each. So not a lot of bed space. Brandon, I think I found some Yellow Jacket caffeine pills. These are the type of caffeine pills that'll make your heart shoot out of your chest.
Yeah, ephedrine before it was actually, which I think is
Yes.
like some sort of like metabolite of meth or something.
Precisely. So, how do you remember this? Because I remember it going a little something like this. Hey, Brandon, I'm not really tired yet. What do you say we take these Yellow Jacket pills and go back out on the town?
Yes.
And then what happened?
Yeah, and it was funny because you had this epiphany that you felt like going back out as we were both staring at the full-size bed that we were both going to have to try and fit into at the end of the night. And what do you know? You got a second wind. And so you say, let's take these Yellow Jackets. It's like, I don't know, 700 milligrams of ephedra or something. And I said, yeah, let's do it. Well, what I didn't see was you go, yeah, and then you threw it behind your back, and I took it, and I was awake for about the next 12 hours. And this is about 3 a.m., mind you.
At least I had the decency to tell you as soon as you took yours, Brandon, I got to be honest with you. I didn't actually take that pill. I just wanted a place to sleep, and I knew if you were ready to go to bed too, that wasn't going to work out well for me. Now, had I known then what I know now, which is we're happy to share a bed together now, then we could have just both curled up.
Big spoon, little spoon.
Drunken
Now,
roommate.
Brandon, I got to say, people often ask me about your and I relationship. Why? I don't know, because it just seems natural to me. So the best I can explain it is, if I could go back in time, I don't think I would want to be married. And I love my girls to death, but I don't think I'd want to have kids either. I think what I would rather do is find a dude much like yourself and form a heterosexual life team to where now that we're actually making a little bit of money, we could split all the bills, split all the rent, all that stuff, and actually be able to enjoy our lives instead of having it sucked out, our soul sucked out day by day.
Through our
Brandon has
assholes.
no idea what you're talking about. He
That's
is not
true.
married.
I live
Brandon's
a life of
been married
leisure
once. We'll get into that at a later time, but he's been single for the long haul.
for a long time, so I've been living a life of leisure
But so anyway, so the best way I
and
can
occasional STDs.
the best way I can explain it is we are heterosexual life partners with what's the best way? Heterosexual life partners with homoerotic tendencies.
Homoerotic tendencies, and
That sounds about right.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay, so that's us. We have been drunk and shared a bed together
Many a time.
on many a times and actually had people record it so they could make fun of us later, but that will not faze me. I will sleep with you any day.
Don't
All
judge
right,
us.
so
Mark
that's
that.
that. Let's get All right, what else will we get into? Well, you're going to get into Brandon picking up a prostitute, and he claims this was by accident. Care to explain yourself?
I swear. She was. She looked distressed, and she was distressed because she was a prostitute. But it had really nothing else to do with it.
True or false? She thought you might be a police officer, and what did she do to get you to prove that you were not?
She immediately, as soon as she entered the car, demanded me to take out my dick, and because I apparently am a very agreeable person, I did.
Take out your dick.
Wait, why'd you let her in your car?
Because she looked distressed. I was at a hotel, and it was right by the.
Weren't you in a drive-through?
Yeah, so I was at a hotel that had
In a
literally
drive-
a McDonald's right next door to it, but after 10 o'clock, you can't go in because they closed down the lobby.
So they forced you to drive drunk through the
the
drive-through.
I had been drinking wine for about 6 hours.
Now,
and
let me ask you this. So what state was this in?
I don't know. It was out east in Virginia or something.
So whatever backwards-ass town in Virginia this was, they find it necessary to not let people come indoors at McDonald's past 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. But don't find the prostitutes littering the drive-through lane as a problem?
Yeah, well, no, because
Interesting.
apparently guys like me just pick them up and take them off.
Now, did she
Well, I
offer
came-
you? Now, did she offer you any services after that, and did you accept?
She did. She offered me a blowjob for $20,
And
I said,
you were too broke?
I respectfully declined. I left my bank card at the bar last night.
You respectfully declined, or your credit card was declined?
My credit card was respectfully declined.
She pulled out her Square reader right there. Tried to
yeah,
swipe it.
square.
Right.
Surprisingly, she had an iPhone. It was crazy.
All right, we can't give it all to him right now, so we gotta move on from that. We gotta tell the full story at a later time. Let's see, what else are we gonna get into? How about the time Travis stole his dad's car? Now, this wasn't just his dad's car. This
Not
was
just.
the company car that he had just freshly been given. Travis,
The plot thickens.
let me just ask you a couple questions because I'm dying to know about this.
I'm dying. Inquisitive
Where
minds.
were your parents when you stole it?
Asleep.
Asleep. Okay. How old were you?
14.
14.
So you didn't even have a license.
All right. And how many people were with you on this little escapade?
It was me, Justin Cooper, my cousin Fuzzy. Which
Fuzzy Wuzzy
there's
was a
pretty
bear.
funny story about that. How we actually tried to run from the cops, and his coat got caught on the fence, and he was hanging there, and the cops had to pull him off the fence.
All right, you're kind of burying the lead there. So not only did you steal the car, the work car, mind you, you proceeded to go on a police chase in such car. Yes?
Well, it was snowing, so I thought I had a chance. I guess.
Well, I mean, you throw snow in the mix, of course there's going to be cops.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Yes, we were delinquents if you haven't caught the drift by now.
Did anybody in this room graduate high school?
I did not.
No.
I
The
even
whole room.
3 GEDs.
I even gave it a second go around and still didn't graduate. Do you remember that?
I remember
I
that,
took
yeah.
maybe a year or so off school.
Really? You came back?
Not college. Like
Yes.
people take a break from college.
Yeah.
Fine. No, he took a break from high school.
From high school?
And
Yes.
came back.
Yeah.
I mean, it was ridiculous. I went back. Oh, Jesus. I just couldn't do it. School is awful. It sucks your soul away.
It really
I don't
does.
like it.
You got to
So-
respect authority, but sometimes authority is assholes. Is assholes.
So,
I don't
alright,
think that's
so
a
what-
correct statement. But
No, it's not.
What we
but
figured
know
out
what you're
is-
saying.
I'm an idiot. Couldn't graduate high school given 2 shots. I'm also in a room full of other failures. And for some reason, we think we've got what it takes to start a podcast and become a success at that. So, life, it's pretty crazy, isn't it?
So we like to make bad decisions, apparently. But at least we're
I really
documenting
don't
this
have,
one.
I really don't have a defense for that. So let's move along. All right, the last little story I'm going to tease is a little trip that we took down to Florida. I think it was in Treasure Island. I don't even know if I could guess a year. We took a group down there to go to a Chiefs game to watch them play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A trip in which a friend's wife jumped up on a second-story balcony and screamed out she was going to kill herself. Said friend stripped down to nothing more than his American flag boxers and went and laid in the middle of the street yelling, "Somebody run me over!" We were thrown out of a hotel where a guy comes up in the middle of the night, knocks on our door. We open it up, and all he says is, "It's been a half an hour now."
Which you later put into a song.
We did. And our friend Ryan, a.k.a. Snatch, thought an appropriate response to the "It's been a half an hour now" was, "Playoffs? We can't even win a game!" and slammed the door in the dude's face. Okay, so we're going to get more into that on some upcoming shows. All right, and that's all we have for this week, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. If you haven't done so, please follow us on iTunes. Rate and leave a review. It will help us out tremendously. You can follow us on Twitter at Pinky and Brain Show. That's Pinky, the letter N, Brain Show. And as always, you can find us at pinkyandthebrainshow.com for everything else. It's been real. It's been fun, but it has been real fun.
Love you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Pinky and the Brain Show. For more info, check out pinkyandthebrainshow.com.